Monsieur Farrow donc, est en visite de 3 jours ici en Algérie. Donc aujourd'hui, donc, il a donné une conférence débat à l'école supérieure d'informatique. Il s'est entretenu avec les responsables de l'Agence nationale de l'emploi, l'ANEM, et l'Agence nationale du soutien à l'emploi de jeunes, l'ANSEJ. Il a aussi rencontré il y a quelques minutes donc, des jeunes algériens pour parler des défis auxquels ils font face. Demain, donc, il a des rendez-vous avec le responsable du scout musulman algérien, le SMA, avec le directeur des Amériques au ministère des Affaires étrangères, ambassadeur Boukadoum, aussi avec la directrice de la coopération pour la jeunesse au ministère de la Jeunesse et des Sports, et les responsables de l'Agence du développement social ADS. Donc, cette visite s'inscrit dans le cadre de trouver des alternatives et des options nouvelles pour le renforcement donc, de l'emploi de jeunes ici en Algérie. Aujourd'hui aussi, donc, il a lancé le comité donc, de jeunes, le comité de l'ambassadeur pour les jeunes. C'est un mécanisme pour trouver des suggestions et évaluer les actions entreprises par les responsables américains pour le gouvernement américain ici en Algérie.
شكرا جزيلا لهذه الفرصة نشوفكم ويعني نرحب بكم كذلك يعني صديقي رونان فيرو. فأنا وهو اشتغلنا بعد عن موضوع أفغانستان وباكستان سابقا وبذلك فيعني هو يعني شخص معروف ومحترم بذلك. بدل من نستعمل كل وقتكم يعني حاليا المؤتمر مفتوح، وإذا عندكم أي أسئلة لرونان عن موضوع دور الشباب في المجتمع وفي السياسة الأمريكية فنحن جاهزين، أو على الأقل هو جاهز لذلك.
السلام عليكم. عبد اللطيف بالقايم من جريدة الجزائر نيوز. أنا بودي نوجه سؤالي إلى سعادة السفير ولو كان أولا، لماذا هي المرة الأولى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية تهتم بوضع الشباب الجزائري بإمكانيات المجتمع المدني في الجزائر؟ لماذا هذا الاهتمام الخاص في وقت هناك أنظمة عربية ومغاربية بالخصوص تتحسس من الدور الأمريكي في المنطقة؟ شكرا.
It's very important to note that our commitment to young people has been long-standing and is global in focus. Secretary Clinton just stood up yesterday and said to the world, for too long, young people have been denied a seat at the table, and we understand that if we're going to confront all of our shared 21st century challenges, we need them to be there, and we need to be tapping into their innovative spirit, their thinking, and responding to their needs. That is not a set of priorities that is limited to the Middle East and North Africa. That said, the Middle East and North Africa and the revolutions around this region have told a story about how powerful young people can be in transforming their political realities. So it is certainly true that because of that series of events, because of the number of young people that are in many of these countries, including right here in Algeria, where, as you know, 70% of the population is under the age of 30. And because of the way in which those numbers are colliding with high unemployment rates for young people. Here it's 21% of working age youth out of work. We're seeing tremendous frustrations counterbalancing that tremendous potential for good that young people can pose. So we view it as a global challenge and a global opportunity. And certainly the message that we're sending in terms of our commitment to young people is strong in the Middle East and North Africa, but it is a message that we are sending all around the world. I just got back from a tour of South Asia, where we are establishing councils of local youth advisors, much like the one that we announced today here in Algeria, to help guide our activities in countries, not just here, but as I said, in every region. So this is something that illustrates both the ways in which young people are critical to the future of this region, and the ways in which those shared challenges, number of young people, the ways in which they're playing a transformative role, and the potential they pose to both help and hinder all of our global goals, that is universal. And the process of taking a hard, honest look at all of America's policies everywhere in the world to make sure they were working for youth and with youth as effectively as possible began actually in the year preceding the revolutions that swept this region.
Azdim Ben Sliah, Liberté. Je voudrais savoir sur quels critères les jeunes que vous venez de rencontrer ont été choisis.
Well, a couple of important things. We want to ensure that in all of our engagement with young people here in Algeria and young people around the world, we have a diverse cross-section of individuals at the table. Young men and young women, equally represented, people from different industries and different sectors of life. We had at the table today, for instance, in our meetings, young entrepreneurs, young business owners, young students, people engaged deeply in civil society institutions. So we want to bring together all of those players to have a diverse discussion where we're hearing the full range of opinions from young people. And what I heard loud and clear from young Algerians who are actively working to build solutions in their communities is that they have a need, as I've heard from young people elsewhere, for a strong economic environment where there's the kind of investment that can create jobs for them. And I heard from them that they care very deeply about making their voices heard, especially at this critical time as we lead up to the parliamentary elections. So I'm very excited to see the potential of those diverse young people fulfilled.
Can I, if I may, I'll just add a comment, and that is, Algeria is a very large country, so I guess something like 20 or 25 million of its population are young people. We, of course, don't believe that we have fully explored the diversity of the Algerian population. We have a very large presence on the web, and if anybody thinks that they would care to talk to us about any topic, we are absolutely wide open to additional relationships and additional contacts with anybody who wants to come and see us or talk to us, whether through the web or in person.
بالنسبة أنا حبيت نطرح سؤال بالنسبة للنتيجة تاع اللقاء تاع السيد مستشار وزيرة الخارجية مع الشباب، ما هي هذه النتيجة وماذا سيكون بعد هذه المرحلة، يعني وش هي الخطوة القادمة بعد اللقاء مع الشباب؟
So we focused our discussion on, as I mentioned, those two broad areas of economic opportunity and job creation on the one hand, and participation as civic actors and community engagement on the other hand. And those are priorities that Secretary Clinton just announced in her speech on global youth issues that are a cornerstone of our engagement with youth around the world. It was very interesting to see those same priorities reflected here amongst young Algerians. And as I mentioned, that 21% unemployment figure amongst working age young Algerians is something that I felt very acutely in my conversations with them. Similarly, I heard both skepticism and also tremendous optimism and excitement about the forthcoming political process and about young people's desire across the country to participate in it. And I have to say, my conversations with my counterparts in the Algerian government have also been extremely encouraging in hearing their assurances and their optimism about ensuring that young voices are heard throughout that process. So you asked about next steps. Certainly in our conversations with the Algerian government at every level, we will continue to advance the shared goals of creating an economic environment where more jobs can be created for young people and where young people's voices can be heard freely. Additionally, in our programs and initiatives, of which there are many that are already very effectively giving skills and tools to young Algerians, we will continue to advance those goals. We have programs like the Tech Women program that partnered young Algerian women with mentors in the science and technology field in the United States. We have a variety of training centers that are partnerships between educational institutions here and universities in the United States that are giving essential skills to young Algerians. And the ambassador and I have announced during my time here that over the coming year, we are setting ourselves the goal of doubling the number of young Algerians that have opportunities to study in the United States. That initiative is called our American Educational Opportunity Drive, and it is conducted with the express goal of having those young Algerians return to this country with more skills and more tools that will then in turn fuel economic growth here. And finally, as we proceed with all of these goals, we want to be hearing as much as possible from young Algerians about what we're doing right, but also what we can do better. And what Ambassador Ensher said about welcoming dialogue over social media is certainly true. But additionally, we are bringing young people to the table in person, as I mentioned, as old-fashioned diplomatic partners. And from my conversations with our first Council of Local Youth Advisors here today, I am very inspired by the amount of creative thinking and energy and the tough conversations that I know we're going to continue having with that group.
Okay. Que c'est du jeune indépendant? Moi, je voudrais, c'est-à-dire des éléments de réponse concernant qu'est-ce qui fait que autant d'intérêt est donné par les États-Unis, c'est-à-dire concernant la question des jeunes à travers le monde, et n'y a-t-il pas un autre cadre plus approprié, par exemple avec la participation des gouvernements, c'est-à-dire pour apporter cette aide. Et une deuxième, concernant, si vous permettez, je voudrais revenir donc sur les propos tenus par Mme Clinton la dernière fois. Donc il y a des propos que certains commentateurs qualifient de jalons. Et d'une part, il y a reconnaissance des positions, c'est-à-dire du gouvernement algérien. Et je voudrais, si c'est possible, avoir donc plus de détails à ce sujet.
So to answer your question about direct conversations with youth and conversations with government, the two have to happen in tandem, and both are powerful tools. And both are conversations that the United States is deeply engaged in. Algeria is an especially good example of those two priorities, where we do, as you alluded to, have a very deep commitment to our partnership with the Algerian government, and we collaborate with them on very important goals. Similarly, though, as we engage with the government, we have been very clear in prioritizing deeper and broader engagement with the people of Algeria. And within that commitment to the Algerian people, we have also made it clear that we have a particular commitment to Algerian young people, to the 70% of Algeria's population that is under the age of 30, and that faces some of those challenges that we've discussed today. So my engagement during my time here in Algeria is actually a very good illustration of the way in which we intend to continue our close dialogue with both the young people and the government.
If you look at the relationships that we have throughout the world, you'll see, I think, that the very best relationships that we have, the deepest, the broadest, the longest lasting, are those where we have a strong relationship between the two peoples, the American people and the people of another country. And it's that we're trying to build now by reaching out to Algerian civil society, as the Secretary of State did, and in particular with the majority of the Algerian population, which is its youth. And that was why the Secretary spoke to a few young people yesterday, and that's why Ronan is here now. When the Secretary was in other countries, she had very specific tasks to accomplish, very specific events to attend. Here in Algeria, she had no such tasks to accomplish. She came here because of the strength and the possibilities in the relationship, and she felt that it was time to come here and pay her respects to the Algerian people and their government by a visit. So this was all about the relationship, not about a specific task.